Fernando Tatis Jr. was once MLB's favorite player before he got involved in multiple controversies which made perception of the player go from most loved to one of the most hated. Even his own manager and teammates have had a few problems with how he's handled some of this controversy. At the peak of his popularity, Tatis signed one of the largest contract extensions in MLB history, valued at over $300 million. He also became the cover athlete for MLB the Show while hitting 40+ homers at just 22 years old. He did all of this while being the face of baseball, having the second most jerseys sold in 2021, only trailing Mookie Betts, and even above guys like Shohei, Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. However, he made multiple mistakes which have had major repercussions and even have turned him into one of the most disliked players in MLB. He has broken unwritten rules, gotten injured by being irresponsible, potentially cost his team a chance to fight for the World Series, and even had to miss half of a season for a suspension. For many, Tatis's off-field drama has completely outweighed his on-field flair, when it seemed like he was becoming MLB's golden child. Let's talk about how MLB's favorite player became hated by everyone.
Try not to throw right down the middle of the plate.
Oh!
Turns on one and sends it to deep.
Tatis began his journey to Major League Baseball in 2015 when he was signed by the Chicago White Sox, when he was just 16 years old. A few months later, he was infamously involved in one of the most lopsided trades in MLB history, where he was traded to the San Diego Padres for James Shields, who went 16-35 with a 5.31 ERA, where he had a 0.5 negative wins above replacement for the Sox. Oh yeah, and the White Sox came 4th place in all 3 seasons that he was there, and they lost 95 and then 100 in their final 2 seasons with Shields. So in seasons that the White Sox were rebuilding, they traded away one of their future best prospects, which clearly hasn't gone well for the White Sox in the long run. And if you hope that your favorite baseball team never makes a trade nearly as bad as this one, then subscribe to my channel within the next 3 seconds or you will lose all of your top prospects for washed up veterans. And make sure you also like the video so you can trade your washed up vets for a top prospect. I wouldn't risk it. I'm a Red Sox fan and we lost Mookie Betts because of this. So you don't want to lose your players too, so like and subscribe right now. Thanks. To be fair to Chicago, at the time Tatis was just 17 years old and wasn't even a top 30 prospect in their system according to MLB.com. However, in the 2017 season, the White Sox probably started to realize their mistakes as Tatis jumped up to the 8th best prospect in the Padres system. And then the next season, he was the 8th best prospect in all of baseball and the clear top prospect inside of the Padres system. He ended the 2018 season with an injured thumb. However, he was still ranked even higher in the 2019 prospect rankings as he was ranked the 3rd best prospect in all of baseball. That didn't last long, however, as he graduated the rankings on the next update because he made the Padres opening day roster and started at shortstop on opening day where he collected his first 2 MLB base knocks. A few days later, he hit his first career home run and he only got better the rest of the season. El Nino mashed his way to an insane 317 average, 969 OPS with a 154 OPS plus, making him 54% better than the average MLB hitter as a rookie. He also added 16 stolen bases, 22 homers, and 6 triples, again as a rookie. He also finished 3rd in NL Rookie of the Year voting. Oh yeah, and did I mention he did all of this in 84 games? He had his season basically cut in half because of a back injury that he suffered in early August and ended his season at that point. Even with the injury, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s rookie season proved he could live up to the hype and did it all while becoming one of the most electric players in baseball. If 2019 was a good season to Nando, then look out for his upcoming 2020 season. As I'm sure you're all aware, in the 2020 season there were only 60 games due to the pandemic that went sweeping through the nation. But Tatis brought some fun into MLB regardless of if the fans were made out of cardboard or real people. His flair carried most of the 2020 season, and while many people absolutely loved his play, many others absolutely despised it, including his own manager. Fernando hit a grand slam on a 3-0 count late in a game that the Padres were absolutely hammering the Rangers 8-0. Tatis did his jog around the bases and got greeted by his manager looking like an angry mother after you got an F on your report card. He was then scolded by his manager and also his teammates, and then sat in the dugout sulking because he got in trouble for hitting a grand slam, which is the best thing a hitter can do in baseball in terms of run production. God, unwritten rules are just so dumb. The Rangers were losing so badly that Tatis was not supposed to swing at a 3-0 pitch, because you're supposed to just stop playing hard, even though obviously the Rangers would continue to try to win the game. It's so dumb in my opinion. Play hard every single at-bat, especially when you're in like your 100th career game. These at-bats all matter, so hit a home run on whatever pitch, on whatever count, in whatever inning, and whatever the score is. Back to Nando. Tatis was then called out by his manager for being in the wrong, even though all he did was hit a grand slam.
Probably starts with just, picking up the sign. I think like the learning opportunity. And just so you know, a lot of our guys have green light, 3-0. Probably see a strike right there.
By the way, this was also in the Slam Diego era and was the 4th game in a row with a grand slam for the team, which I believe was an MLB record. But who cares about that? Let's make sure the Rangers don't get all upset, because who knows, they might get mad and throw a baseball at one of Tatis's teammates, and that's just because the pitcher made a bad pitch and Tatis played baseball. I have to move on before I get too annoyed. Throughout the rest of the season, Tatis went absolutely ballistic, hitting 17 home runs and stealing 11 bases in just 59 games. He came 4th in NL MVP voting and even helped the Padres break a 14-year playoff drought with his teammate Manny Machado, who came 3rd in MVP voting. They even won a playoff series, and Tatis mashed 2 homers in the clinching game in the wildcard round. At just 21 years old, even if his manager was mad at the unwritten rule breaking, most of the fans were not, considering his jersey was the 4th most sold jersey out of all MLB players in 2020. During the offseason, Tatis was named cover athlete for the baseball video game MLB the Show 21, where he was the youngest player to ever become the cover athlete due to his incredible marketability. Tatis was becoming one of the faces of baseball, becoming a fan favorite, and becoming an absolute marketing godsend for Major League Baseball, who desperately needed some excitement to be brought into the game. And it was all because of his flair and excitement on the field. So what went wrong for Fernando? 2021 continued his incredible start to his career, as before spring training even began, Tatis signed the 3rd largest contract extension in MLB history at 14 years, $340 million, even though he had only played 143 games before signing the extension. Just an absolutely insane contract for someone that had played so little. It just goes to show how strongly his team believed he would be the face of their franchise. Part of that contract will have to go to a group that helps minor league baseball players that cannot afford personal trainers and good quality food. Tatis was one of those minor leaguers, so he invested in his body, which clearly was a good decision. Tatis unfortunately got injured very early into his 2021 campaign with a bad dislocated shoulder that would land him on the IL. Manny Machado also got into it with Tatis in the 2021 season because of Tatis sulking about a strike 3 call. Manny would then give him some tough love by screaming and cursing at him, saying, "It's about the team, not all about you." Ironic coming from Manny Machado, but whatever. However, these setbacks wouldn't stop him, and once again, he got even better. Tatis was absolutely unstoppable, mashing 42 home runs, 31 doubles, 25 stolen bases, and had a slash line of 282 batting average, 364 on base with a 975 OPS. And he had a 166 OPS plus, which was the best of his career up to that point. He also was named to his first All-Star game for MLB, won his 2nd Silver Slugger, and came 3rd in MVP voting. He also won the NL Player of the Month for May after missing 7 games due to getting placed on the pandemic IL. Later in the year, his shoulder dislocated once again, and during that, he began working out as a right fielder, which he would later transition to in 2023 and 2024. Tatis had been a shortstop for his first 3 seasons, but he was making an incredibly high amount of errors, so the Padres hoped a shift to the outfield would make him more valuable in the field. But more on that later, because it didn't happen yet. His injuries had him miss 32 games. He played only 130, and again, he mashed 42 homers in those 130 games, which gave him an otherworldly 11.4 at-bats per home run. For a bit of comparison, Mark McGwire is the highest at 10.6 at-bats per homer for a career, and second highest is Babe Ruth at 11.7. Yes, those are career numbers, and Tatis's was a single season, but it's still an impressive feat for a 22-year-old to be hammering baseballs like he was. Oh, also Jace Tingler, who was the Padres manager, also officially got fired after the Padres disappointed, so Tatis won that battle, I guess. There has basically been just about no lows so far throughout Tatis's career, but that was all going to change in 2022. 2022 was the year from hell for the emerging superstar, and it all started because of his off-field irresponsibility. Tatis required shoulder surgery in the offseason of 2022, which would make him miss about half of the season, and this was due to a motorcycle accident that took place in the Dominican Republic. When Tatis was asked about this accident, he responded by saying, "Which one?" which obviously implied that he got into multiple accidents over the offseason. This made a lot of people begin to switch up with how they felt about Tatis, considering he was disappointing his team due to his lack of responsibility, especially because of the insane financial commitment the Padres made to the young star. The fan perception just began to slowly switch a little bit because of this accident, but it was about to get a whole lot worse later that year. While rehabbing his way back from his shoulder injury, Tatis got suspended by Major League Baseball for 80 games, which would cut into his 2023 season and end his 2022 season after a positive test for PEDs. This really rubbed fans the wrong way, obviously. And it didn't just rub fans the wrong way, but his teammates as well, since they were on the push for the postseason and they had just lost their superstar not only for the first half of the season, but the entire thing. Tatis then claimed that the positive test was because of a medicine he used to treat ringworm without checking in with the team doctors. Whether this was the truth or not, he either intentionally used illegal substances or he accidentally used them because he wasn't checking in properly with his team. Either way, fans were extremely unhappy with what happened, of course. Fans don't really like PED users very often. And surprisingly, neither did Adidas, who cut all ties with Fernando Tatis after signing him to a large deal a few seasons prior. The Padres, however, had one of their best seasons in franchise history, making it all the way to the NLCS, where they lost to the Philadelphia Phillies. And you have to wonder, if they had that MVP caliber Fernando Tatis, would they have gone all the way and won a World Series in 2022? We'll never know, because Tatis, he was thinking about himself, like Manny Machado said he should not be doing. Tatis was starting to lose support from fans. He had already lost endorsements and even lost his entire age 23 season because of his irresponsible nature. He was going to be suspended for the first month of 2023, but he would definitely not be welcomed with open arms when he returned. After tearing the cover off the baseball in the minor leagues in 2023, Tatis came back to MLB in May. However, in the minors, Tatis was called overrated and absolutely mashed this baseball. Once Tatis was back in MLB, the heckling got even worse, with two of the worst examples of this being at Wrigley Field and Yankee Stadium. Tatis had fully made the transition to full-time right field in 2023, so he would be able to be heckled easily by the right field bleacher fans, which are known to be brutal in Yankee Stadium. But first, let's talk about Wrigley. The fans in the bleachers chanted he did steroids, but Tatis just danced to the chants instead of letting it bother him. That's a hard sentence to say, I don't know why. Then, at Yankee Stadium, a very similar chant started where Tatis was conducting the chants. After that, he ended up homering in that game, and he got booed as he rounded the bases and then went back out to the outfield and started giving it right back to the bleacher creatures. He made a keep talking gesture and then got booed even more, obviously. He dealt with that at a few more stadiums, but nothing as notable as the ones that I mentioned. Tatis finished that season with easily his worst offensive season, even though he had a 112 OPS plus with 25 homers and 29 stolen bases. Instead of the incredible offensive output, however, Tatis ended up being an incredible defender, winning the Platinum Glove in right field in his first full season playing the outfield. That just really shows that Tatis can really do everything in baseball. So far in 2024, Tatis has been off to an inconsistent start. However, his underlying stats are much better than his counting stats, so hopefully for his sake he can turn back into that 2021 form and become an MVP candidate again. Because at just 25 years old, Tatis can become one of the all-time greats if he goes back to similar levels of production for the next many years coming up in the future. If you enjoyed this video and want another video to watch, why not check out this one on Rob Manfred and how he may or may not be ruining Major League Baseball. Or don't and ruin my day, it's up to you.